right, guys. That was a really good show. Special thanks to our new people, Eric and Delaney, for helping out.
Yeah, congrats, guys.
No problem. That was really fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do that. I probably wouldn't get a lot of views.
Honestly, Infinity War was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and our review was really good.
Yeah, Marcos especially did a good job.
Speaking of which, where is Marcos?
I think he said he was going to be late.
Hey, is this the college Cinephile?
Yeah, you must be the incoming freshman.
Yeah, we just wanted to look around.
Yeah, no problem. We were just talking about Infinity War.
You guys saw it, right?
Hell yeah!
So what did y'all think?
I'm not really into the Marvel movies.
What? So what did the rest of y'all think?
I mean, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I'm just so excited to see what comes next.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy how Thanos did that.
Thanos.
You're such an idiot. I saw it coming a mile away.
It's just crazy how he just snapped half the population away.
Right? Like, that would traumatize me.
For sure.
Definitely.
absolutely
I really
do.
feel like that.
Guys,
What?
what's happening?
Oh my gosh!
Oh my God, Delaney!
Woo! Sydney?
Why me?
Marcus, I don't feel so good.
Anakin. He's gone.
What's that? Sydney?
Oh, God. Honestly, not surprised.
What just happened? Welcome back to the College Cinephile. I'm Sydney and I am joined by Isaiah, Marcus, and Ethan. And today we are going to be covering the final film in the Infinity Saga that has been built up for the past 11 years. All right, so we aren't doing so much a review as we are a discussion. So if you haven't seen Endgame, be warned that there are going to be spoilers.
A lot.
Yes.
A lot.
Quite a lot.
There's a lot.
So this is a 3-hour movie and this is a discussion. So to kind of simplify things, let's just go through our pros and cons of the movie. Bearing in mind, there was a lot in this movie, both pros and cons, but just very simply. So Marcus, I think you had a pro.
Yes, I really did want to talk about that everybody's effect post snap. The movie takes place, it opens up, and it's immediately after the snap goes off. Everybody's back at headquarters. They just brought Tony back, and Tony and Nebula back, and they're just like, okay, we got to go after Thanos. And then once they get Thanos, it's more like, okay, we got him, but the stones are gone. We can't do anything. Everything's gone. And so they cut to a support group, and it's kind of like everybody accepting it, but there are those who can't really let go of it.
That part was cool. I liked that they spent a lot of time for like the first maybe 40 minutes, hour of the movie. I have no idea because time moves differently in this movie. That there's not really a lot of fighting. It's just a lot of character development. And I notoriously don't like many of these Marvel movies. I really didn't like Infinity War, but I thought that this was a good course correction in that with half as many characters, they could spend a lot more time on the actual characters themselves and kind of give us some emotional weight to the movie instead of just a bunch of punching. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I'm just a fan of the MCU from the get-go. I've been with the movie since for the first Iron Man, and getting to see all these different quieter character moments and seeing them, come to grips of what everything has happened, and everyone reacts to it differently. Like, I was thinking about it after the movie. I kind of thought it was weird that Cap was still very like gung-ho cheery even after like the snap and everything. But then I realized, his whole character is lost. He's lost everything in his life. So this isn't new territory for him. But to everyone else, it is, and seeing them go through it and whatnot, and see Tony actually he was able to move on. You know, he had a kid. He had the quiet life that he's always wanted, but at the same time, it's always in the back of his mind that he lost these people and that he needs to go in and, you know, somehow find a way to save the day. And when they come to him with the time travel, yeah, of course he rejects it at first, but then he's like, oh, I can't just knock this thing out of the side of my head. I gotta like keep going and keep it improving. And I just always love that about his character.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing about Tony. He can't stop being Iron Man ever. They've explored that in past movies, and here it really works that he just can't stop.
But now he finally gets to, and he
gets to
don't
rest.
have to keep making him
he's
make movies.
He's very done.
Yes.
Please, I really hope. I know in the comics people always come back from the dead and whatnot, but
No.
please, no. He had a good restful moment. I loved his ending funeral. His whole arc concluded. Please.
When we talked about time travel, I think we all like that aspect of the movie. I went in knowing literally nothing. I didn't watch any of the trailers. So I thought when I figured they were going to do some amount of time traveling. When I realized they were going to do like a Back to the Future 2 thing and go back to their old movies, I was super on board. And that was just a really fun part of the movie.
Yeah, definitely like the whole heist adventure and like splitting up and
Time
whatnot.
heist.
Yeah, time heist. It was just really fun, and getting to see the old movies again. I'm really glad they explored that element. Granted, whenever you introduce time travel to any franchise, it's very risky territory because that's always in the back of your mind. We could just retcon everything, but I think they handled it pretty well. It's not the squeakiest clean timeline, time travel in the world,
Right.
but we'll get to that later. But yeah, the time travel element's fun as heck.
Yeah, I feel like going into this movie, I was like Ethan. I didn't watch any of the trailers. I watched none of the TV spots. It was really, really difficult to do that just because I'm a big fan. I wanted to see what's going to happen next. But if you did that and you were able to hold off on trailers, good on you, because you will have a better time if you didn't. Because, like Ethan said, no idea about the time travel. There was like hints and stuff like that, but I just knew like nothing about it, and it absolutely baffled me.
But that being said about the trailers, I mean, I think, you know, they said that they only showed footage from like the first like 30, an hour, something like that. So it, you know, they didn't give too much away later on down the film. It was all just like the first act of the film, really. And I mean, I knew that it was probably going to be time travel just because, like, I've watched a lot of, like, speculation videos. But moving on to comedy, of course, it's MCU. There's going to be comedy. And what are y'all's takes on the comedy?
I liked it. I laughed.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad it wasn't, like, too much like humor. Like, you know, they did find the balance, which for most MCUs, they do find the balance. MCU movies, they do find the balance in comedy and drama. Not all of them work, but, you know, in this one, it did. And I'm glad that there wasn't the type of comedy that like robs from a very emotional scene. You know, it was just really fun.
And there's a lot of talk about this movie being full of fan service, which it definitely is. But it's a level of fan service that like even me, I've seen all these movies, but I don't love all of them. But I still felt like rewarded that I had watched all of them. Like it actually felt like a good culmination of all 10 movies, and there are all these in jokes and everything. And I was like, it made me glad to have watched Thor 2. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very special movie in that regard.
It's one of my favorite things about this movie. If the MCU ended right here, it would be a very satisfying conclusion. Yes. And of course it's not. It's going to go on, but it wrapped up the saga so very well.
It's a perfect conclusion.
Yeah.
And my biggest issue with many of the MCU movies, and the Avengers movies specifically, is I felt like they were trailers for the next movie. I felt, Civil War is a trailer for Infinity War, and Infinity War is a trailer for Endgame. So it's nice to finally see one that's just done. There are no in-credit scenes. It's just everybody is wrapped up in this movie. And yes, there will be more things to come out of it. But for 20 movies, this arc is complete, and that is wonderful. And it's complete with the final battle.
Yeah,
Can we please talk about the final battle? It was.
Let's.
I really want to talk about a bit of the proper conclusion bit. I walked into this franchise like most of us. We all came in, watched Iron Man and 2008. I have never grown with such fictional characters ever since I read like the Harry Potter series or something like that. This was the one where I felt like people who I've grown with, felt with, like suffered with, I felt like I was complete. Like it was great for that series, and there will never be anything like that until they set up something else.
We were 8 years old when Iron Man came out. Now
Yes.
look at us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're old and sad now.
So Sydney,
So little hope.
talk about the final battle.
It's so much fun because, so basically after Hulk snaps, right, to bring everyone back, Thanos just obliterates them. And so the final battle kicks off, and it's pretty gruff and rough. And when Captain America gets Thor's hammer, yes. But of course, this is the climax of the movie, so there's that moment where you think they're going to lose, and then everyone across all of these movies comes back, and it is just the most epic fight. And I know you found it a little hard to follow, but I loved it. It was so much fun.
It still was really satisfying.
Yes.
It's just big, dopey comic book fun. It's the kind of thing that they need to pull off. And I think, when you look at Infinity War, where it's 2.5 hours of everybody fighting, it kind of loses some of that luster. But whenever you haven't seen them for so long, and then all your old friends show up, and each one gets their own individual moment to shine, it works a lot better than I think it has in the past. Isaiah, what do you think?
Yeah, it's just it's one of those moments where you take a step back as a comic fan, and you're just like, man, I would never thought I'd live the day to see something like this. Because in the comics, there's always those big galactic battles with everyone. Everyone is here, and like kicking butt and whatnot. But you think, I don't think studios are gonna want to invest their time in that. That we'll never get to that point.
I haven't seen this since the end of Spy Kids 3.
The final battle for me was just the entire time I had a smile plastered on my face. Like it was just so hard to. Well, of course there were the sad moments towards the very end of the battle, but during the entire battle, and everybody had their little quips at each other. Peter got to finally use the insta-kill, which was great.
Oh yes, yes.
I got it. I don't got it. But I feel like you said, those giant set pieces in the comics where you just open the extra panels, you just kind of look at everything happening. Nothing has transpired like that, since ever. You never thought you were going to see that, and when you finally saw it, you just felt like a kid again.
I turned into a little boy, man. I'm telling you, I was hollering, and especially I'm pretty sure I looked dumb, but I raised my hands like this when he said Avengers Assemble. I was like, yes, I waited 22 films for that, finally.
That's another thing. How was y'all's theaters? Mine was we were in the same theater. It was towards the end, that's when people started cheering. Yeah.
I mean, they were kind of cheering, not necessarily throughout, but kind of throughout. And when Captain America got Thor's hammer, when Spider-Man started using insta-kill, the theater, especially that third act, they were just going wild. And it was kind of great. I'm not one to shout in a movie theater. No matter how excited I am, I'm just not one to do it. But it was just so much fun being surrounded by that energy of just all these excited fans.
Well, there are a lot of things to cheer about, but there were some negatives as well. Marcus, what do you have?
I'm going to say one thing and one thing only, and that is Fortnite. That's the only one of the only problems I had with this movie. There are a lot of little cons, but I don't know. It's just the Fortnite horse has already been beaten to death. Let it die already.
For sure, it takes place 5 years into the future, and they have all these kind of cultural references more towards today, and it's just who's still dabbing 5 years later? Who's still playing Fortnite 5 years later?
Everyone's depressed. They don't have time to dab.
Exactly.
Sydney, I think you and I both agreed that we had some issues with Thanos' characterization in this movie, just mainly because he was such a major part of the last one. I personally felt he was kind of sidelined a little in this one, which I understand. They had a lot to get through, but I wish that his presence was consistent through both.
Yeah, I mean, I like the way that they kind of brought him back in, but his in the last movie, they were so deliberate about explaining his motivations, why he's doing this. And I felt in this movie, he was kind of taken more back towards like a generic villain. Like, I'm doing this bad thing because I'm a bad guy who wants to do bad things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I kind of didn't fully get that from it. I think he was still on his quest of, trying to be the heroic savior, stop everybody from like overusing the universe's, resources. It's just that the Thanos that we get in the movie is a much younger, more aggressive Thanos. He, like, what we see more in the forefront of his character is the whole, like, I want to get these stones as soon as possible and kill everyone in my way to get them because, this was my God-given destiny. I'm going to do it. And so, yeah, like, he's not as much in the movie as he was in Infinity War. I feel like Infinity War was a great piece for him, that to be his moment to shine. Now it's the Avengers moment to shine. But I think they still added a couple things to his character. Like, the bit that I like the most is with him is when he arrives on Earth after destroying the whole base. And he's just like, you guys just shown to me that, no matter what I do, there's always going to be revolt against what I do. So you know what? I'm changing my whole plan. I'm just going to wipe out everybody and restart life as it should be. And I like that.
See, that was kind of my problem, though. If you thought he was playing God in the last movie, this is a major God complex right there. And, like, I just felt like it was a little bit of a diversion.
There are a few other things that distracted me. I always have difficulty watching the big computer-generated set pieces just because like my eyes just don't register it. And I get that the movie had to be muted, and when it was just like actors on sets, it looked good. But there were some color problems in the end where everything kind of looked the same. And it's because there's so much action happening on screen, it was difficult to follow, for me at least.
Yeah, like, the movie has, like, a bit of plot holes, mostly because it's trying to be fan service, which it was. It was great fan service for those fans. But there were a little bit of plot holes. I know, Sydney, you had a problem with Captain America's ending?
Captain America's ending is very sweet. In some ways, I'm happy with it, but in other ways, I'm not. I'm glad he got to live the life that he should have lived and the happy life I'm so happy he got to have a happy ending. However, it raises some plot holes because, and like, with movies like this, you just have to overlook plot holes. You just have to. But it just really bothered me because, like, he's taking back all the Infinity Stones back to the timeline so that they don't mess it up, basically. That's what Hulk tells him right before he goes. Take it back because we don't want to have any timeline issues. And then he goes back to, we're not sure what
I think
year,
it's
1970.
Yeah, we just know that he's with Agent Carter at the very end.
And he lives his life, which is very sweet. However, that raises timeline issues.
There are a lot of just issues with the Infinity Stone stuff at the end. Like, I didn't really understand what was going on, which is fine. I get the gist of it. They got to go back in time so they could bring everybody back and fight and be happy. That works, and it's fun to watch. I would have liked to be clued in a little bit more in the internal logic of the movie.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ethan, 100%. It's just, there's actually more than just the Captain America, like, plot hole. There's a bunch of time travel plot holes. But to me, I give it a pass and whatnot because it did not rob the movie from its emotion. Yeah. And I went into Avengers Endgame to get in my feels. I went for the emotion. And so since the time travel didn't really take away from that, I was fine with it. It's not squeaky clean timeline, but time travel, gosh darn it, but it worked.
And I think in spite of it all, I think we all enjoyed it a lot.
For sure. Like, what the concept we're talking about, I feel like they're a bit nitpicky, but overall, it's a great film. It's, one of the MCU's best, and it is such a good conclusion.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Purple.
Thanks for watching The College Cinephile. Thanks for joining us in our discussion. What did you think of Endgame? Please comment down below. And please like and subscribe. Watch our other videos. We really appreciate it.
Like the video.
Please like it.
Please like it.
And go support Avengers Endgame.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I will find you. And if you don't like this video or like Endgame, that's okay. You have your own opinion. Bye. See you later, Internet.
Bye.